After the ceasefire, the international community pledged a great deal of aid to try and rebuild the devastated communities of Gaza, where hospitals, schools and thousands of homes had been hit in the attacks. Now, despite this aid being pledged, people in Gaza have been unable to rebuild because the Israeli blockade of Gaza limits the amount of material that can get in. And this is the most essential basic humanitarian material, from food and fuel to cement, steel bars, medical supplies, educational supplies. All of these are restricted in the amount they can get into Gaza, and this really affects the daily reality of people's lives. The Strip is a tiny area of land. There's 1.4 million people living there who are really crowded in densely populated areas. So when this area was attacked, there was a great deal of devastation. Thousands of homes were destroyed. People in Gaza are really struggling to rebuild their lives and regain any sense of normality under the blockade, where the most basic goods are in short supply. So patients that need medical treatment, it's often not available in the hospitals in Gaza because they've limited equipment. But it's also difficult for these patients to leave the Gaza Strip because they require permits from the Israeli authorities to leave. For the families of Gaza who had their homes destroyed, the material isn't there to rebuild these houses. There's a limited amount of material coming in through the tunnels, but this is extremely expensive for people to buy. The prices are inflated. So people are still living in temporary accommodation amid the rubble of their destroyed homes. Poverty is really widespread. There's about 20,000 people who are still living in temporary accommodation since the Israeli offensive in Gaza. Unemployment has spiralled. It's now at around 40%. So it's a very common occurrence that people just simply wouldn't have enough. What needs to happen now is that the Israeli government needs to lift the blockade of Gaza. Amnesty International believes that this blockade constitutes collective punishment on the civilian population, and by denying this population the ability to live their lives and rebuild their lives, Israel is compounding the suffering of people in Gaza. Now, there are 6 crossing points into Gaza. 5 of them are controlled by Israel, 1 by Egypt. Egypt's general closure of their crossing point with Gaza is certainly not helping this humanitarian situation there, nor are there proposals to build a steel wall along their border with Gaza. However, it is Israel as occupying power that bears the weight of the responsibilities for the welfare of the people in Gaza.